I always remember this from the street. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. That's important on the street. I don't know that it's necessarily as important in real life. Like, you have no reason to keep this guy close. He made himself an enemy, and that you just dismiss. On the street, it's different because you're bunking into the same people. You got to live with them. You can't. So you gotta try to keep them closer to you, so you know what their moves are. You know what they're thinking. You understand.
All right, welcome to the show. This is Chazz Palminteri.
The Wise, and I'm Michael Franzese.
The Wise Guy. Where we going, Michael?
Yeah, here we are again, Chazz. Another week's gone by, and getting closer to Christmas.
That's right. And we got to remind people, if they want to get some great merchandise, they got to go to that link up there. If they want to get some great merchandise, or you can go to chazzpalminteri.net or Michael Franzese's link. Either one.
Yeah, and on both our YouTube channels, the store will be listed up there. So it's Christmas time. Have a blow. We have a mutual friend. I know him for quite some time now. Patrick Bet-David, Valiantainment guy. He's way out there. He's got a great YouTube channel, a big presence now on social media. And Patrick is a guy that has high aspirations in life, and I think he's going to get there. He's a very intelligent guy. And he wrote a couple of books. And one of them, his recent book, is a very interesting title. It's Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And I could see Patrick, before he even get into it, I could see Patrick writing this book. He's very analytical, and he tries to cover all bases. He thinks of everything, both in business and in life. He's pretty perceptive in that regard. So I took the 5 key points like we always do, and we discussed each point, and you and I give our perspective. We've been around a little longer than Patrick, so maybe we have a different view on certain things, maybe not. But let's go through it. So it's Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David, just released. It's brand new. So I'm sure many of you can get it. It's on Amazon and everywhere else that they sell books. The first key lesson out of the book is understanding the importance of choosing your enemies. A key point is the significance of carefully selecting your enemies. Now, it's funny how he says selecting your enemies. Think about that for a minute. Bet-David emphasizes that having the right enemies can provide motivation, clarity, and a sense of purpose. By identifying those who oppose your values or your goals, you can harness their negative energy as fuel for personal growth and achievement. So he says a lot in that one. First, he says, carefully selecting your enemies. Now, how does that sit with you? Do you select your enemies, or do they just become enemies? Chazz, what's your experience?
I don't select my enemies. My enemies usually come to me. If you select your enemies, for me, it has to be natural, because if somebody selects me and I know they are my enemy, and they select me for something, I'm already ahead of them. I'm already like, I don't believe anything he tells me. I don't want to hear what this guy's got to say, and I don't even want to talk to this guy. But I think, look, Patrick is one of the most charismatic people I've ever met in my whole life. I've never seen anybody go into a room and take it over like he can. He's on another level that I'm not. What he's saying, to select the enemy. When I see him next time, I'm going to ask him about that. Can you learn from your enemies? You probably can. But you see, we're Italian. And Italians, we have a problem. That if we know somebody's our enemy, it's hard for us to be close to that person. Because Italians have so much fucking pride that we're like, fuck you. I don't want him close to me. I don't want to learn anything from him. He can go fuck himself, which is not right. Mm-hmm. The better way to do it is like Patrick is saying, is the more Machiavellian way. Bring him in, learn from him. That's what I get out of that.
It's funny. Patrick does have a little street in him. He did a video once, and I know Patrick really well for years. I like him a lot. And he did a video once, 25 things you can learn from the mob about business and life. And he did a video on it. So he has some street in him, some street sense.
Right.
But, on the street, you select your enemies. There's no question. There's people that you want to conquer, people you want to go over. You select your enemies. In life, I guess you can in a certain way. But in the real, legal, legitimate world, I don't see it that way. I think your enemies are kind of created in a way.
Yeah.
People that oppose you, people that don't have your best interest at heart, people that are trying to take you down, people that are trying to take you down in some way. But I guess, whether you're on the street or whether in the real world, the legal world, your enemies just become your enemies in a certain way.
Yeah.
There's a difference between selecting them, people that you're going to go after and make your enemy, and then
Right.
people that just become your enemy. I think
I
there
agree
is.
with that. I have a question. I got to ask you a question, Michael, about the enemies and about selecting the enemies. I'd like to get your opinion on this. And I'd like to ask if Patrick is listening, I'd like to get his opinion. Because this one's got me stumped. There's this guy, he's a producer and an actor that I know. And I've known him for many, many years. And every time he sees me, he hugs me, he likes me, and I like him. I really did. He had a great way about him, and I went out of my way to introduce him to certain people, because I like the guy. But then all of a sudden, Michael, he was looking, he was trying to get the script to produce, and the producers were calling me and my company because they wanted me to produce it and maybe rewrite it. I heard he was after it, but hey, it's business, So all of a sudden, the guy who owned the script calls me and said, "This guy so-and-so, is he a friend of yours?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. He's a good friend." They said, "Oh, are you sure?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Well, he really bad-mouthed you, Chazz." And I said, "Bad-mouth? I don't understand." I said, "Are you sure it's him?" I was stunned how I didn't see this. I was stunned. And he said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "I'm going to send you his email to me." So I read the email, and it's true. "Well, you shouldn't go with him. I wouldn't trust him if I were you." And he's bad-mouthing me. And I'm like, holy shit. I was stunned. I was stunned. He wanted this project, and I guess him and his company just, really worked me over. I said, "Okay, well, thank you." And I said, "Look, I'm going to bow out of this thing." They said, "No, no, no." I said, "Nah, I don't want to be involved." So I didn't, and he didn't end up doing it either. And this is about a year ago. I never called the guy. I never sent anything to him. But I know I'm going to run into him soon because I know when I go to LA, I'm going to run into this guy. And I am confused how to react to him. Like make believe nothing happened or just tell him how could you do that? I mean, what do you think, Michael?
Oh, I would confront him for sure.
You would?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He made an enemy out of you. He made himself an enemy. And I would, what the heck's on your mind? Why would you do something like that? What is he going to say? He's going to have
So he's going to say, "No, that's not true." But I'm going to go, "Well, here's the email."
Yeah.
And there's nothing you could say. And I just want to do that and go, "I wish you a great life, but you made a mistake. You alienated a good friend." Anyway,
Absolutely.
I don't know why I brought that up just now because it's been on my mind.
If it were me, I'd confront him. So I think you're doing the right thing there.
Okay.
When I look at number one, the importance of choosing your enemies, to me, I always remember this from the street. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. That's important on the street. I don't know that it's necessarily as important in real life. Like you have no reason to keep this guy close. He made himself an enemy, and that you just dismiss. On the street, it's different because you're bunking into the same people. You got to live with them. You can't. So you gotta try to keep them closer to you, so you know what their moves are. You know what they're thinking. You understand. But he says here, by identifying those who oppose your values or goals, you can harness their negative energy as fuel for personal growth and achievement. That's pretty deep on Patrick's part.
Yeah.
I think when you have an enemy, again, if you're keeping him close and he's a real enemy, it's good because then you know what he's thinking, what his moves are, and you can protect yourself and defend yourself in that way. I'd have to read more of the book to understand, how that negative energy could be fuel for personal growth and achievement. So let's move on. Identifying your true enemies. Another essential point made in the article is the need to accurately identify your true enemies. Well, that's true. But David suggests your enemies are not necessarily the people who dislike you or disagree with you. I agree with that. You can have people that may not like you, may disagree with you, but they're not out to hurt you. And if they're not out to hurt you or bring you down or give you grief, they're not an enemy. They're just maybe somebody that has a different opinion, a different thought. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Or a different opinion. And so is he saying that if a person disagrees with you or doesn't, so they're really not an enemy?
Yeah, he says that. He said it's not necessarily the people who dislike or disagree with you. Instead, your enemy are those who actively work against your success or undermine your progress.
Yes.
And he says it's crucial to discern between genuine opposition and constructive criticism. And of course, we agree with that.
I agree with that totally. Yes.
When somebody's trying to pull you down or hurt you in some way, well, they made themselves an enemy. But if they disagree with you, that's not necessarily an enemy. People.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yes.
So we agree on that. Number three, using enemies as a mirror. But David also highlights the role enemies play as a mirror. By paying attention to how others perceive and react to you, even your adversaries, you can gain valuable insights into your weaknesses and areas for improvement. I think there's a real difference between an enemy and an adversary. An enemy, they just want to hurt you. They want to crush you. They want to take you down. They want to destroy you. An adversary, we could be in sports. We could be best friends, but we're adversaries on the field. But after that, we're friends. So I think, you can have an adversary in business, but he may not want to destroy your business. He may want to sell more product than you, or he want to, but that's not necessarily your enemy. You can't look at everybody as an enemy.
I like what he said about learning something. Sometimes I sit back and my father says, there's some people you don't have to do anything. They do it all themselves. And I never forgot that. Where some people, you don't even have to hurt them. You just watch them. And they do it all themselves. And you learn from their bad moves and their bad judgment and say, how stupid. Why did he do that? That was the dumbest thing I ever saw. And so you learn from that. You remember that. And I think that's what Patrick is saying. I say, well, I'm not going to make that stupid move that he just did. Because look what happened to him,
Yeah, and I think he's also saying, why has this person become my enemy? Is it something that I'm doing that might have caused him to become an enemy? Is it, like he says, self-reflection, self-improvement? Sometimes you have to weigh the situation. Well, why is this person so against me? Did I do something? It's like you just brought up that example. What did I do to cause this person to do this? So sometimes we could be at fault. And maybe we created an enemy.
Maybe. I don't know. I might have done something. It's possible. But what I didn't like was that all these years you played it so much that you're my friend. Was this something that just changed? Were you always a phony to me? Or was it just recently because you wanted the same project that I did?
Well, Chazz, like anything else, your business could be very cutthroat, creative. You know that. Yeah. So, to me, it sounds like
the jealousy in our business is just the jealousy.
You know what, Chazz, it's interesting you bring that up. I understand jealousy in life, like you could, gee, I wish I had what that person had, or gosh, they seem to have a good life and I'm struggling. And so it's a natural emotion. I think there's a real difference between jealousy and envy. Right. And, I always used to say that's what's wrong with a lot of Italians in my experience. It's not that they say, I wish I could have what that person has, and I don't want him to have it. There's the difference.
Yeah, that's bad.
I want him, but I don't want him to have it. I saw a lot of that in my former life on the street, no doubt. And I think Italians could be guilty of that in a lot of ways. That was and I think maybe in the entertainment business it's the same thing. Who knows,
But I just think the more I give away in life, and I mean that sincerely, the more I just give away and try to help people, the more it comes back to me. I don't know.
Oh, no doubt. I totally agree with that. I think that's in a way why we've had some success, not only, in our business, but personally, in our personal life. Learning from enemies. But David encourages individuals to view enemies as potential teachers. Your enemies may possess valuable knowledge or skills that you can learn from. By observing their strategies, their tactics, their approaches, you can gain insights that can enhance your own abilities and help you become more successful. I agree with that. I mean, I think, if you have an enemy that, is skillful in any way, you might learn from them rather than just try to cut them out of you, just cut them down. You may want to observe them for a while and learn a little bit.
Yeah, you could. Everything is a process in life. It's like I learn from when I suffer. I learn. You only learn when you suffer. But the thing that I get concerned about is and I bring up that incident again. If somebody's bad mouthing me, sometimes I have to wonder. I go, well, did I do something? And if I did, what did I do? Or is it just this person for whatever reason doesn't like me? And sometimes I beat myself up a little bit and I go, well, what did I do? When I was younger, I did that. Now, as I'm older, people are not going to like you. That's it. For whatever reason, they're not going to like you. And I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't. I really don't. And when I got to this age, like you and I are the same age, and we used to see our mothers and fathers act this way, you said, wow, boy, that's great. Now I understand. Fuck them. I don't care. I really don't care, Michael.
And I agree. You see what you said first, though? Your first reaction is, did I do something wrong? That means that you have some integrity. At least you want to look into
Yeah.
yourself at first and say, was this me? So you think of that first, which is great, I think. And I feel the same way. What did I do to, cause this person to,
What did
and
I
you think
do?
about
Yeah.
that. And if there's something, okay. But if there's nothing, well, then, hey, F them. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But, and I also agree, social media, if it does
Oh,
anything, it builds you in a way because you go on social media, Chazz, you're opening yourself up for all sorts of people hate you, whatever. They just choose to hate you. They don't know you. They don't
oh
anything about
yeah.
you. They choose to hate you.
Yeah. We're gonna do an episode on that too coming up, I think.
Yeah, we should at some point. Okay, so we agree there. Number 5 and the last one is channeling energy positively. Lastly, choose your enemies wisely emphasizes the importance of channeling the energy generated by your enemies in a positive manner. Instead of letting negativity consume you, use it as a driving force to prove your critics wrong and achieve your goals. Turning adversity into motivation can lead to personal growth, resilience, and extraordinary accomplishments. He gets very deep with this. I'm hoping people that read it can understand it, but I do understand what he's saying there.
Well, that's a great law because in psychology they call that the aggressiveness that you have, you transfer from anger into positivity. In other words, I was so angry when I got fired as a doorman. I said to myself, I could have either taken drugs or did something stupid, but I was so angry. What I did was I sat down and I wrote 8 hours a day, every day for 10 months, and I wrote Bronx Tale. So I found out later what I did was I transferred all that aggression into something positive, and I made it work for me. Like, I'm going to show these people they're wrong. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it right. So it actually was a good thing for me.
That's a great example. I really mean that. And I think that's what Patrick is really driving that point home. And
I think that's what he was talking about.
yeah, let your enemies work for you and not against you. Get something out of it. Let it motivate you in a positive way to either overcome the obstacle that they might present to you. Yeah, I think that's a good point, and that's a great example. But that's it. But those are 5 key points. I know Patrick wrote it. It's going to be a great book. He's very insightful in that way. It's brand new. So
Yeah.
go on Amazon, jump on it, and get it.
And
And
what's the title again, Michael?
it's Choosing Your Enemies Wisely by
Wow,
Patrick
nice.
Bet-David.
I think Patrick's going to be a governor one day or something.
Well, I sat down with him once. You'll appreciate this. And we were in Florida, and we had just done something. We were sitting down, and he says, "Michael, I have a 20-year plan." And first, he wanted to build Valuetainment to be one of the premier media companies in the world, and he's working on that. He's doing his thing there.
Right.
He says, and then it's politics, and he kind of has it all laid out. And if you watch the direction he's going in, now he's hobnobbing with a lot of people politically. He's doing all the right steps to get there. I would be very supportive of him because he's a good guy and he's got a great
good guy,
family.
and his heart's in the right place.
It is.
He's definitely one of the most charismatic people I've ever met.
Very charismatic, very knowledgeable, and he's making the right moves. So hopefully it'll lead in the direction. When he said that, he said, "Michael, what's your plan?" I said, "Patrick, I got a few years on you. I have a today plan." That's my plan. I'm not thinking 20 years down the road. Although I hope I'm here to see where you are in 20 years. Is what I tell you.
So would I. I like to see that.
Yeah. So let's hope we both get there.
All right.
Okay. So
all right. So
that's
that
it for
was
today.
Patrick Bet-David's book, and we'll be back each week with new books, new ideas, new things. So we want to wish you. We're getting close to the holiday season, so I think we're going to wish everybody a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and don't forget, go to Michael Francese's.
It's on michaelfrancis.com, my website. It's also on all my social media channels, YouTube, Instagram. It'll be posted there.
Or you can go to chazzpalminteri.net. You can buy our merchandise, some great gifts, with the Wise and the Wiseguy, Bronx Tale stuff. It's all over there. So God bless you all. This is Chazz,
The Wise, and I'm Michael Francis.
the Wise Guy.
And we'll see you next time.